Hi, Natasha here, sports dietitian at NMC Nutrition. Let's talk caffeine. So caffeine can be a good performance enhancer because it does affect the central nervous system in terms of reducing perceived fatigue in the brain and in the muscles. Now, it's most effective in endurance sports. We're talking about marathons, Ironman, cyclists who do long distances, and in intermittent sports, so stop and go sport. We're talking about things like hockey and soccer, rugby, for example. Now, ideally, based on the literature, we're going to be having about 3 milligrams per kilo body weight. So if you're having coffee, depending on how it's brewed, that can vary quite a bit in terms of how much you're getting in caffeine per mil. We're gonna say approximately a 16 ounces or 500 mils of coffee in one sitting would be about the 3 milligrams per kilo for the average athlete. So you can also get caffeine from gums, from capsules, and from gels, obviously. Now, the effect is going to start about 30 to 60 minutes after consumption based on what you have already in your gut for the quickness or the ability to absorb. It will last for about 4 to 6 hours after consumption, again, depending on the individual. Now, I want you to be careful with pre-workouts or energy drinks like the Monster or the 5-Hour Energy. The issues here end up being that because they're not regulated, oftentimes studies have shown that what's written on the label is not actually the amount in the bottle, and there can be up to 3 times more caffeine than what's written on the label. So what's the issue with having too much caffeine is that it can increase heart rate before you even start training. It can affect your capacity for technical work. It can give gastrointestinal symptoms, especially to athletes who are already prone to them, things like runner's gut. It can also increase anxiety, and it can affect sleep. Now, some people will say I can still sleep when I've had caffeine, but you may not be able to reach a deep sleep or a REM sleep because you've had caffeine too close to sleep time. So if you're taking a powdered supplement, you do want to make sure that it's certified NSF or Informed Sport so that at least you can trust the amount that's written on the label. Now, there are different protocols for use that will depend on the sport itself and on what you're trying to achieve and on you as an athlete individually. So you don't want to take it too close to bedtime, obviously. You also don't want to take it too early, because if you're taking it at 7 a.m. and you're training at, let's say, 11, and you're training for a while, you don't want that crash to occur while you're training, that, fatigue in your muscles and in your brain, your full fatigue ability to come back all at once. So you may have to dose again depending on what time you've taken it, or push off your dosing. You also want to make sure to try it at first before a race, before a competition, before a game, because you don't know how your body's going to react if you're not used to taking it around sports specifically. It can also obviously stimulate bowel movement, so you want to take it early enough to be able to have a quick washroom break before you start training or practices or your event. If you are dependent on caffeine, if you feel the need to have it in order to perform both mentally and physically, there may be something going on with your nutrition. You may not be consuming enough fuel, your timing may be off, maybe your fuel is burning out too quickly because of the type of fuel you're getting in. It might be a hydration issue, a sodium issue. So that's definitely something to look into. You shouldn't be depending on it. It should just be that supplement to give you that reduced fatigue additionally, but you should not be requiring it to properly get through your training. Don't forget about my free webinar on tailoring nutrition to your training. I'll put the link below. Feel free to check it out. And remember, nutrition is a science, not an opinion.